At this point in Chapter 2, we're covering Step 4 of strategic planning, and this involves establishing a portfolio for a business. When you think about the word portfolio in business, many of us think about a stock portfolio. Think about the purpose of a stock portfolio. The basic reason a person invests in a portfolio of stocks is to diversify their risk. Similarly, a company's lines of business should be diversified, and as you see here, different income generating and growth capabilities are key to success over time. Rather than using a risk-return trade-off to establish the business portfolio, as is done in finance where you use the coefficient beta to measure risk, in business portfolio planning, the two dimensions that you see at the bottom of the slide are called market growth and market share. This portfolio analysis was started by the Boston Consulting Group, BCG. In the BCG matrix, the first dimension is the growth rate in the industry. And you'll see that the growth rate is measured as either high or low. The reason that we don't have absolute measures here is because what's high in one industry, say the beer industry today, where a growth rate of 3% might be very high, that's very different than a market growth rate in cloud computing, where high might be 25%. So these growth rates are established typically through secondary data, and outside research companies study market trends and forecast a growth rate. Similarly, the second dimension is relative market share. And again, what's a high market share, which you'll see on the left-hand side of the continuum, compared to a low market share on the right-hand side of the continuum, differs depending on industry. If an industry is an oligopoly and maybe there are only 3 or 4 competitors, then you might say that a high share is something upwards of 25%. However, in a highly fragmented industry where maybe there are 20 competitors, high market share might be something upwards of 5%. So these are relative dimensions that vary by industry. Once we cross these two dimensions, what we end up with are 4 quadrants. And I'm going to start with the lower left-hand quadrant. What you see here is that a company's SBU that has a very high market share in an industry where market growth rates are low, these products for the company are called cash cows. An example of this might be Levi's jeans, that the jeans market has a low growth rate, and Levi's for the 501 button-down has always been one of the most popular products. The purpose of a cash cow in a portfolio is to generate cash, just like you milk a cow, in order to sustain the other lines of business that a company is investing in. So all companies need some cash cows, and typically in universities, business schools are considered cash cows. If we go above the cash cow in the portfolio matrix, what we see is a star. Stars are in industries where there's a very high growth rate and the company has a high market share. An example of this might be in the tablet market with the Apple iPad. In this particular case, the iPad has a dominant market share in a market that continues to grow very rapidly. What this means from a company's perspective is that high growth markets require very high investments in order to maintain the company's high market share. And inevitably, as the market growth rate slows over time, a company's stars will become its cash cows of the future, assuming it maintains its high market share position. In the upper right-hand quadrant, we have question marks. These are lines of business in a company in which the company's market share is low, but the market growth rate is very high. An example of this might be a lesser known tablet computer such as MSI is one of the off-brand markets from, I believe it's Taiwan. And for the MSI company, their tablets are question marks. Question marks do take a lot of cash, and the question is, should a company throw good money after bad, in the sense that unless it's going to invest sufficiently and develop strategy to make it a star, what's going to end up happening to those question marks? Well, again, as the market growth rate slows, what you'll see is the last quadrant is a dog, which really makes me feel bad because we all love dogs and dogs are man's best friend. But we also have this pejorative phrase of when people are dogging it, it means they're not keeping up with the top competitors. So a dog in the language of the Boston Consulting Group is a line of business that has low market share in a low growth rate market, which means these are unattractive. And what do we do to unattractive dogs? We euthanize them. So the language of business is that we divest these SBUs. We sell them off to somebody else who might think a small niche business is very attractive. If you think about Lava soap, Lava used to be owned by Procter & Gamble. It was a very small market share soap with a niche for people who had very dirty hands, say mechanics, for example. And in that case, that line of business could be a single line of business for a smaller company. And when they define their competitors as other products that will clean very dirty hands, that Lava doesn't end up competing with traditional soap. It ends up competing with other types of products. And in that case, it could be very attractive for a smaller company in a redefined market space. Another important tool in step 5 is how a company develops its growth strategy to generate new revenue in the future. This matrix essentially characterizes growth strategies on 2 dimensions as well. The 2 dimensions here on the left-hand side are whether the company's growth strategy is designed to target its existing markets or if it's going after new markets, and whether the company is going to sell existing products that it already makes or whether it's going to develop new products. For a company's risk strategy, the least risky way to grow revenue is market penetration, which means sell existing products to existing customers. This follows a CRM, customer relationship marketing perspective, where the objective is to look at who our best customers are and to seek to increase sales of existing products to these markets. For example, if we're a bank, we could cross-sell or upsell related services to existing customers. Another common market penetration strategy is to use sales promotion techniques, such as offering a premium at McDonald's, maybe a gift with the children's menu, in order to draw existing customers to buy more of those products. Another way to grow revenue is for a company to develop new products to sell to its existing customers. This is called a product development strategy, and we'll go through product development in chapters 8 and 9. Oftentimes what we see here is companies like McDonald's add new products to the menu in order to create growth. And we saw a blockbuster addition when Taco Bell decided to offer the Doritos taco shells. On the lower left, the market development strategy is when a company sells its existing products into new markets. One of the most common ways that a company does this is it pursues international markets. And we did see this with the Starbucks example when it decided to pursue new growth opportunities in India. And although they did add some new menu items, the primary focus of that strategy was to sell coffee through their existing business model into new international markets. The most risky strategy in terms of product market growth is called diversification. This means generating radically new products and selling them to new markets that the company previously has not sold to. I'm going to give a couple examples here. Diversification often is designed to pursue attractive new opportunities that the company has identified through its SWOT analysis that was conducted in Step 2. In this particular case, it looks at trends in the market. One of the biggest trends right now is the amount of money that people are spending on their pets. I've previously mentioned that in back-to-school spending, people actually spend more on their pets than they do on their kids' back-to-school supplies. In this particular case, companies such as Procter & Gamble and other companies who make shampoo and personal care products have started developing new lines of business for pet grooming. These would be pet owners is the new target market with new products. Another example of this is when McDonald's saw that many people were wanting more ethnic flavored foods, and McDonald's decided to buy the Mexican food chain Chipotle. These are highly risky strategies, but they position the company to essentially capitalize on new opportunities. This concludes strategic planning with all 5 steps. The second level of planning that goes on in a company is planning for the marketing function. And this is typically done by a marketing manager or a chief marketing executive. The first step in marketing planning is to conduct a SWOT. This SWOT is similar to what was done in the strategic planning process, but at this point the SWOT is done for a particular line of business. Step 2 is to set the marketing objectives. And these objectives now are also specific to the specific division that the marketing planning is being accomplished for. Step 3 is to develop marketing strategies. And as we learned in Chapter 1, one of the most important steps in this is to select the target market and then to develop the strategies for each of the 4 P's. We've already defined each of the 4 P's in Chapter 1, and this elaborates on that understanding to provide a little more detail about the issues that each of the 4 P's addresses. Product managers in companies work with industrial designers to focus on the design aspects of the product, packaging, branding, any support services that might be warranty services, customer service, training, and also any new product varieties and features that might come on the market. For example, if we're going to introduce a new type or flavor of Dole popsicles. Pricing we've previously defined as value, and what we see here is that pricing includes not only pricing for the end user, but also pricing along the distribution channel. Promotion strategies we've covered previously, and the addition that we see here is direct marketing, which is oftentimes called one-to-one marketing. And there's a very nice direct marketing education foundation called directworks.org that some of our students have been invited to attend their symposium. The internet is the most important direct marketing tool today. If you're interested in online marketing, I encourage you to look at this website, directworks.org. And distribution, we've talked about making the product available and placing it in the consumer's hands when and where they need it. So those relate to the utilities that we defined in Chapter 1. Once a company develops its strategies for marketing, it must implement them. And the control process, just as in accounting controls, is essentially to measure how well did the company's actual performance compare to the objectives. We've emphasized already the importance of marketing metrics. Metrics are the measures that a company uses to determine the return from its investments in marketing strategies. Return on marketing investment is absolutely essential to calculate in order for marketing to be taken seriously in the organization. And action plans essentially are these tactical or operational level plans that are step 3 of the planning process, the third level. Okay, so I've already defined the return on marketing investment as being fundamentally important, and we're going to continue with our quantitative evaluation of marketing in class because many people believe marketing is the new finance, and if you can't establish quantitatively the link between marketing investments and return, marketing is not taken seriously. Okay, so this is just that final wrap-up on the day-to-day execution. This concludes Chapter 2.